This crowd has been anti-Catholic for a long time. This is leftist anti-Catholicism. These are transatlantic agnostic progressives. They do not believe in things like the authority of the Catholic Church.
And welcome back to America Talks Live. I'm Miranda Kahn, filling in today for Steve Malzberg. You just heard from the former Secretary of Education. Bill Bennett doesn't appear to be too surprised about the leaked email showing Hillary Clinton staff bashing conservative Catholics. For much more on this, we want to welcome in today's guest. Joining us now is Maureen Ferguson, the Senior Policy Advisor for the Catholic Association. Thanks so much for joining us.
Good to be on with you. Thanks.
So are you surprised at all by Clinton's staff bashing Catholics? As you heard, Bill isn't.
On the one hand, it's really shocking and appalling to kind of see it there in black and white, how they talk about people of faith when they think no one's listening. So on the one hand, I was shocked and pretty offended. On the other hand, none of us should really be surprised that this is the way they think because of the policy prescriptions we've been seeing for years from the Clinton campaign and really over the past 8 years. They obviously don't understand people of faith. There's an obvious bias. There's been a narrowing of our religious freedom, whether it's the HHS mandate, telling nuns, the Little Sisters of the Poor who take care of the elderly poor, telling them that they better get in line and give away free contraceptives, or Hillary Clinton out there on the campaign trail kind of openly campaigning on narrowing our religious freedom, specifically telling people that they're going to have to change their religion and get in line on the pro-abortion agenda, telling people like Catholics for whom the right to life is a foundational core issue, the sanctity of life, telling us that we have to change our religion. So in that sense, it's really no surprise to see these emails.
Well, today, House Speaker Paul Ryan, who is also Catholic, is calling on Clinton to fire Jennifer Palmyra, the aide who made those comments in those emails. Ryan says all Americans of faith should take a long, hard look at this and decide if these are the values we want to be represented in our next president. If Hillary Clinton continues to employ people with bias and bigoted views, it's clear where her priorities lie. And we want to take a look.
That's right. And
yeah, go ahead, respond.
I was just going to say, one of the most offensive things to me in those emails was the mockery of people for trying to raise their children Catholic. And, I'm a mother of 5. When you look at our toxic culture, and it's really this toxic culture that has given us the politics of today. And when you think about what does it mean to raise a child Catholic, it means trying to raise them to appreciate beauty and truth and goodness, knowing that they're a child of God, knowing that, human dignity is a very real thing, that every person deserves dignity and respect. I think these are things that our culture and our politics could really use more of. And to see that kind of mockery, it was just dripping with disdain and contempt.
And let's let our audience actually see that original email since we're referencing it. Here's the 2011 email chain where Palmyra made those comments. She wrote, "I imagine that they think it is the most socially acceptable, politically conservative religion. Their rich friends wouldn't understand if they became evangelicals." Now, for the record, it's been reported that Palmyra herself is Catholic. She's also said that she doesn't recognize this email. So when you hear those words again, and especially when you've heard multiple times from the Clinton campaign denouncing Republicans, especially Donald Trump, for wanting to have extreme vetting, especially for Muslims coming into this country, when you hear that and them harshly criticize Republicans and conservatives for that, can you imagine them doing this for Christians? Defending it? Doesn't it seem like it's not fair?
Well, in a sense, since the time of Christ, there's been a certain level of mockery of Christians, right? But I just think there's so much ignorance there to characterize the church as this, medieval institution. You know, not knowing that it's the Catholic Church that educates more children around the globe. It's the largest charitable organization on the planet. How many people are cared for in a Catholic hospital? 1 in 6 beds in the United States is in a Catholic hospital. Tons of charity care in those Catholic hospitals. And yet we have this disdain for that faith, this open desire to change the faith, to use the force of the federal government to force people to change their faith or compromise their faith, you know, suing these Catholic hospitals because they don't provide abortion. And I think people should be very wide-eyed, very clear-eyed about what a Hillary Clinton administration would look like now that we see in black and white their worldview of the Catholic Church and Christians in general.
Maureen, I have to ask you, because as I mentioned, House Speaker Paul Ryan and also Trump's campaign has said that, you know, they think that Palmieri should be fired because of these because of that particular email. Do you agree with that?
I think someone who demonstrates that level of bias, you know, about 20% of people in the United States identify as Catholic. Someone who has that level of bias, that may perhaps be an appropriate action. I would think at the very least an apology, but we'll see. I sort of doubt one might be forthcoming.
Who do you think Catholics mostly support now, especially given these remarks, Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton?
I think that's a really tricky question, and I think that Catholics, there are certain issues that, you know, are especially important to Catholics and that Catholics really consider deeply when heading into the voting booth. And these foundational core issues like the right to life, you know, the sanctity of life of every human person, marriage, family, religious liberty, which, as we're seeing, is more and more under attack. These are issues that are really important to Catholic voters. And I think in many respects, Catholic voters feel a little bit homeless in this election. And it's you know, I think nobody is pleased with the outcome of this election season.
All right, Maureen, we want to go to some callers right now. Kathy from Colorado is joining us here on America Talks Live. Kathy, thanks so much for calling.
Oh, you bet. Thanks for taking my call.
Of course. So what's your comment?
Well, I wanted to say that, because I keep hearing all of this stuff about the women voters not liking Trump, and I disagree wholeheartedly. I have a diversified group of friends and just acquaintances ranging in the age from 18 to 75, and there's not a single person that I speak with who does not support Trump.
Really?
Mainly, yes, and because our main you know, topics and things that we're concerned about, you know, securing the borders, the economy, fair trade, not free trade, fair trade, and it just it seems like Hillary has no one or nothing to go after Donald with, so they're pulling out all these old things. You know, I mean, they're hunting really hard right now to get the stories.
Yeah, so you're pretty much agreeing with what Andrea was saying in our first segment. She was saying the exact same thing, that women are more concerned about other issues. I want to get your response, Kathy, if you're still with us. I want to get your response to what's been exposed from Wikileaks with these emails from some of Clinton's people working for Clinton's campaign, basically criticizing Catholics and people of the Christian faith. What was your response when you heard about that? Are you still with us, Kathy? Oh, I think we lost her. She's gone. All right, no worries. Maureen, do you have any response to what you heard from Kathy, what she was saying about, you know, having friends ranging in age from 18 to 75, that some of these issues that are coming out against Donald, that they're not really concerned with that women are more concerned about the economy and ISIS and issues of that nature. You're a woman. What concerns you the most?
Well, I'm going to leave the politics to the political pundits, but in terms of policy, I'm extremely concerned about what we saw there in black and white in terms of this anti-Catholic bias, anti-Christian bias. They're making fun of evangelicals as well in these emails, and it's very, very disturbing to see that in black and white. Even though, as I said, we've been seeing it on the campaign trail. Hillary Clinton is specifically telling people they're going to have to change their religion on the abortion question, something that is so foundational to our faith, the sanctity of the life of every human person. So it's very disturbing.
Maureen Ferguson, thanks so much for joining us here on America Talks Live. Pleasure to have you.
Good to be with you.
And coming up next, Donald Trump slams Bill Clinton for his past transgressions, but it's not Bill who's running for president. Will Trump's new attack against Hillary work? Our panel weighs in. America Talks Live continues after the break, and we want to hear from you. There's the number to call, 1-877-Newsmax. What issues concern you the most? Are you worried about this tape, the allegations? Do you think this is going to hurt Trump? Give us a call. We want to hear from you. We'll be right back.